Welcome back to another week of the Bookfest Club Podcast. I am 1/3 of the Bookfest Podcast. I'm your host, Jules. I'm joined by none other than the intelligent Key and my homeboy, my brother from another mother, Jay. How y'all doing this week?
We're doing great.
Good,
Thank you,
brother.
Jules.
Good.
Yes,
Glad to be
happy
back.
to be here.
Glad to be back,
That's
man.
what's up,
Today,
man.
listen, man. What's what they talk about? What's the hottest thing this week that we could talk about? You know what I'm saying? Because we're not just we're gonna read the book and just talk about the book. Nah. That's not what we do. That's not what we do here.
You know, we
There
got
are
to ruffle
topics. Exactly. Come on, there are
Always.
topics in the bookish community that people don't want to talk about, right? Or they get into arguments about it on Threads, Book Talk, Booktube, Bookstagram, whatever you want to talk about it, right? We are talking about Audible versus physical copies, and the discussion that physical book readers don't think that Audible book readers are real book readers. Well, we are the world's most dangerous book podcast out there. So I felt like we should tackle this issue today.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start it off. We're going to do it ladies first. Key, what do you think about the Audible versus physical discussion?
So I have seen this discussion, like Jay said, over on Threads, on Book Talk. It's something that comes up, especially at the end of the year when everybody is doing, hey, I did my reading wrap up. I did 170 books. And there's those people who's like, yeah, but did you actually read them? Or did you listen to them? Those don't count if you didn't read it. And I honestly get really, really sick of the conversation. I get sick of the discussion because I think that audiobooks count as reading. Is listening to an audiobook the same activity as reading a book? I don't think that those activities are the same. I don't think it's ableist to say that listening and reading are two different activities. But when I'm talking about the books that I finished at the end of the year, I'm absolutely going to count the audiobooks, because when we talk about reading, it's this umbrella. We're not saying, did you physically look at the book? And no, audiobooks counts under that umbrella as reading. So it's like, when people say it's not reading, I feel like they get too literal, but there's so much benefit to audiobooks. People have also said that it's ableist to say that audiobooks don't count as reading, because there are people who they are not able to physically read with their eyes, so they're reading through an audiobook. So my opinion is that audiobooks absolutely do count as reading. You should always count them. And if I listen to a book and I read a book, it doesn't matter. I can still have a discussion about what went on in the plot. So it's under my mindset that they are the same thing. Like audiobooks are not the same thing, but they do count as reading, even though they're different ways to assimilate the book. I'll say it like that.
Okay, what about you, Jules?
This is crazy. So here's my thing. Do you want convenience or do you want connection? Right? And so I feel like if you really want to connect with the book, with the ideas that are in the book, with the characters, what have you, with the author, then by all means, get you your little Snuggie blanket, get you your matcha tea. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Get that, get your coffee, snuggle up under a warm blanket, and then turn your pages. All right. And get your highlighter out, right in the margins, do all that you want to do if you want. But if you want convenience, if you want something that fits your lifestyle, then be like me. I'm team audiobooks to the wheels fall, because I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an entrepreneur, I have a 9-to-5, I serve at my church, man. My kids have schedules that are second to none, right? They got dance rehearsal, they got football practice, basketball practice, and I'm all over the place. I'm a glorified Uber driver. And so like, man, when do I have time to really sit down and crack open a book or lug books around, right? Just the weight of books. Like, I don't want to have turtleback with the backpack walking around with books. And so, you know, at my job, I could just pop in my AirPod, walk around, and I could knock out a book while I'm at work. You know, I ain't listening to nobody. I'm having whole conversations with my coworkers, and I'm not even paying attention. I'm just listening to books all day.
I think some of the issue with the physical book readers is that they feel like they put in hard work. I sat here for 64 hours and I actually read 2,000 pages while you were driving around in your car listening to the book. And it's like, bro, we put in the same work. You think I'm still listening, bro?
Can I let them in on the secret, Jay?
What's up?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares, bro. They don't.
But you know how it is. Like, it's like remember how back in the day.
They think that they're better than them.
Yeah, it's like,
that's what it is.
back in the day, it's like, I had to do this and I had to struggle. Like when your parents tell you how they had to walk to school with holes in their sneakers and everything like that.
Now, Mom.
And I'm like, yo, I'm sorry that, I got a car now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not my fault. You know what I'm saying? I got wheels. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry that I didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Boop, boop. Right? But it's not my fault. So it's like, I feel like they really push in, like, we're the hardbacks, and I think and you know what it is though? I won't lie. When I read The Intruder, right, by Frida McFadden, I did feel more, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I did feel more of a sense of accomplishment when I read that last chapter and I closed that book. I felt like I was in the Iron Workers Union. Like I worked in like a coal mine. I felt the earth, felt like I was really digging into the text. You know what I'm saying? So I could understand with the physical book people that the satisfaction, there you go, the satisfaction of finishing a long book. Well, it gives you more satisfaction when you finish a long book versus listening to it. They feel like it's cheating the system because you can put it on 65.5 and you could, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, it's not our fault. You know what I'm saying? That Audible did it.
I like the entertainment factor of audiobooks because you get professional narrators, right? And you could find like the same narrator narrating for different books as well from different authors. And I just like the creativity in the artsy aspect of someone manipulating their voice, right? There's men who are manipulating their voice to do a woman's dialogue, right? Or
and
interaction
that emotion in it
and the emotion.
It
brings you into the story more, right? And so with the book, you shape the story and you shape the setting with your mind. But with these audiobooks, they have sound effects and traffic in the background and different things. I feel like that's a more enjoyable experience for me.
But you see, people have different ways to enjoy books. Some people prefer to read because I understand what Jay means, that especially if you're someone who I want to read 18 books this year. Okay. I want to read 18 books because you want to feel a sense of accomplishment. It is that sense of, oh my gosh, I read 600 pages when you close that book, when it's a long book and you have physically read it, it's a different feeling than you listen to it. It's a different feeling and a sense of accomplishment, but I feel like one is not better than the other. And I think that is the conversation that people they don't understand. I think, like Jay said, there are people who are physical readers who believe I'm better than the people who listen to the book because I actually read it and I feel accomplished because I read it. And I think people forget that active listening is still a very important skill. There are many people who could listen to a book and still not grasp any of it because they are not active listeners. I think people also forget listening to a book. It's not just this thing that you could just I'm just going to listen to it. No, I feel like you still have to be engaged with the story. You know what I mean? You still have to be engaged to understand it. And I was telling Jay, there was a book, what is it? When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I had listened to it on audiobook. Jay's the one who actually got me back into reading audiobooks. He's like the audiobook king and I absolutely love it more now. But I was listening
He listens on 1.65.
He gets me. But I listened to that book and there was so much that I wasn't able to grasp because I wasn't actively listening. Me and Jay were talking about it and I was like, yeah, but they didn't ever explain this. And he was like, yeah, they did. This is what happened. I'm thinking I completely missed it.
That's the thing. If your mind drift for 10 seconds, you lose the plot.
So that's why when people say one is better or one is harder, it's just like, do you know how difficult it is to be an active listener? Even having normal conversations with people completely zone out. You could be having a conversation and they literally are not listening. So I think that is a conversation. People who read and don't listen to audiobooks, they feel like I'm better. When I get to the end of the year, I get to say, I read these books, but it's just like, truly, who cares? Like you said, who legitimately cares? If that's your personal goal that you want to accomplish, you want to physically read 18 books, then do it. But don't shit on the people who want to read books and they've done the audiobook because look, y'all can still have a conversation about it. And it's really none of your business at the end of the day either. Like why? That's another thing. People in the bookish community care too much about what other people are fucking doing. Like I literally don't care. You listen to audiobooks, you read it. Why is that my business? Are we talking about the book? Whoop-de-doo. Are we able to still talk about it together? Yes. Like you know the same things that I know. Even when I say, hey, have you read that book? I don't say, did you read it or did you listen to it? Because it generally doesn't fucking matter. Like, did you read it? Yes, let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's like difference between text messaging or a voice message. It's like, I don't care. As long as I get the information.
Exactly.
And people receive information better differently. Right?
Yes,
Somebody may receive the information better through reading it themselves because they're stronger readers. Somebody may be auditory learners. And so I'm going to knock somebody because they have their hardwire? No. And they both have pros and cons, right?
Exactly.
Narrators can actually, like we talked about narrators can actually ruin a character.
If the voice
is bad. Yeah,
before you get into your next point, Drew, I do want to say, because I want you to keep going, because this is going to fit into what you're about to say when you talk about narration. I'm much more hornier when the narrators are speaking versus me reading the actual pages on the book. Now you can finish. Go ahead. I got you.
I'm glitching.
Oh my God.
Bro, I'm like, where
because I was like, okay, what is Jay about to say? And he was like, yeah, you know. And then he's like,
I feel like a bad narrator can like turn your fade into a skip, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, dang, I really like that character. I was like, I'm really bought into that character.
But the voice is
like, just not a Southern accent. Or Jay, you may be like, man, that's not a real New York, Brooklyn accent. People don't sound like, you know. So I just feel like sometimes they can ruin it. But at the same time, a con for a book may be, you know, there with me, it's just like I always have to have it, right? And I feel like the convenience of a phone is like, man, and true enough, you got Kindle Fire on your phone as well. But I'm just saying, like, if you got a physical book, man, what if I left it in the car? What if I left it in my bag? Or what if I left
the
it?
audio is accessible anywhere, like as long as you got your phone with you.
You know, and so there's pros and cons of both, and like the list goes on. My thing is, do what fits your lifestyle. Right.
And don't worry about what anybody else is doing.
I got a library full of physical books that I love to plow.
But you still like audiobooks.
But I still like audiobooks, man.
Exactly. And I feel the same way as you. Like, it just depends. My little brother, for example, when he had to do a reading assignment, right? He's sitting there, he's reading it, and they're telling him, read this, answer these questions. He's reading it. He cannot answer any of the questions because he's reading it. He knows these words, but he's not comprehending it. Now, while I read it to him, yeah, the cat jumped over the moon, blah, blah, blah. So where did the cat jump? Over the moon. He was able to get it because it was easier for him to listen and retain the information than it was for him to read it and understand it and answer these questions. So like you said, people have different strengths and weaknesses. He's a way better listener than I am. Trust me, because he hears stuff and he remembers it. He gets it, even though he still may struggle a little bit with reading. And I think another important conversation that we have to have when we talk about audiobooks versus physical books is the problem of literacy that we also have in this country. And I think that's why sometimes it can be dangerous to say that listening to an audiobook is the same as reading a book. That's why I've always said they're different activities, even though they still count as reading. But I think you definitely have to make that distinction when we have a literacy problem. Like, we can't say, hey, we have a literacy problem and it's fixed by people listening to audiobooks. That's not going to fix, you know what I mean? That's not going to fix a literacy problem. You know, we have to teach people how to be able to read. And there's some people who they listen because they don't know how to read. And that's a whole different subject. And I'm not trying to shame anybody or make you feel bad, but
at all.
Again, if we have a literacy problem and people are still just listening is exactly the same as reading, they're not the same. Like, they still count as reading, but they're not the same, especially when you look at the scope of, there are people who, like children who cannot read. They're in high school. They cannot read past the 6th grade reading level. That problem is not going to be fixed by telling them, hey, listen to the book because you're still getting it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, sure, listen to it. There's nothing wrong with that, but that shouldn't be a substitution, especially for children. If you are not able to read because you're not comprehending, the answer to that is not, well, just listen to the book. You know what I mean? It's like when we have those assignments in school and they tell you read Shakespeare and everybody just watch the movie. It's different. If you're reading something, like I said, 2 different skills. You can watch a movie and you can get it because this is entertainment. This is fun. It's a different skill to be able to read something, like just like the example I gave with my brother, to read it, to understand it, and then be able to answer questions. You know what I mean?
Key, let me ask you a question. Is it like, because I know, like, in this entering into this bookish community, especially on TikTok, it seems like it's dominated by women. Would you say that women are more apt to open up a book than a man?
Like, no. I feel like no, not at all.
Disagree.
I feel like for the men, I feel like
disagree.
I mean, I know Jay got me in audiobooks and he's a man, but I just have seen so much conversation around audiobooks versus physical books. And it's a lot of women who also enjoy physical books. And I have a lot of men on my book talk page who they're readers. I mean, they always in the book talk like, yeah, I read that. They have like, you know what I mean? They have the physical book open. So I'll let Jay speak on that if he thinks that. I have just seen equal amounts of people.
As far as like likes on your videos, are they mostly women or are they mostly
women?
They are.
Mostly all women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like
it's
a small community of men
you
that
could have
actually
more
read
men
physical.
enter the bookish community if they turned their automobiles into listening center.
I think that's a great idea. Yep.
Like if they turn their automobiles, like no, I can't crack a book open while I'm driving, but guess what? I could put it on the hands-free magnet, right? And I could just hit play.
And when you do it like that, that gets people interested and that gets people excited about reading. And that's why I said don't invalidate audiobooks. Like if reading's not your thing, but this story sounds really interesting, listen to it. There's nothing wrong with
I'll be
that,
like, man, I gotta go grab the book. I gotta go buy this book. Sometimes the audiobook makes me go to Barnes & Noble or makes me go on Amazon and purchase the book because it's like, man, I want to have this one in my library.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I feel like for men, it's more attention to detail. Right now, our mind is so programmed for everything else. We're not programmed to read. We're not programmed to pay attention to detail. We're programmed to go to work. We're programmed to save money. We're programmed to learn about stocks and everything. Head of the house, for the most part, lead your house, go to church, raise your kids, right? But in no way was I ever told to read when I was growing up. I was always told all of this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They say reading is fundamental. You see that. But I mean, like, actually sit down and take the time to actually sit there and read a book, because reading takes detrimental it takes determination and focus to sit down and keep turning that page. Because even when I'm reading now, I find it difficult, and I'm like, all right, so I set myself up, all right, I'm gonna do 20 pages when I get home, because once you do that's 10 flips, you know what I'm saying, 2 that's 10 flips. So if I can get through 20 pages in 5 days, look how many pages I done read. That's 100 pages. I could finish a 300-400 page book in a month, and it just takes time. But as you read more and you actually, the story gets better, you don't want to put the book down. So that might turn into an extra 5 pages. So it's about really just sit down. But we're so programmed to watch sports and, we got to watch this game. We got to do that. Well, in between that, what are we doing? When it goes to halftime, when it goes to commercial, we in our phones and then right back to the screen. We went from screen to screen. You know what I mean? So instead of just, flipping on the book. So that's how I feel like as far as men is concerned.
Or muting the commercials and picking up a book and reading, powering through it. Which brings me to another question I just want to ask the team is, like, what are some tips for finishing a physical book? Because I know, like, the backdrop of that is, like, it wasn't until I went back to college where, I actually learned how to read. Because, there's a lot of reading in college, right? You're taking poli-sci classes and all of that. Like, man, you're reading through, and they say, man, have this book done by next week or next time we meet. And I'm like, y'all read that fast? So I took another class called, I think it was like College Experience or something like that, where they teach you how to study and teach you how to read. And some of the techniques I learned in this class for reading was like, man, maybe these are some techniques that we can apply here. But I want to hear from you guys. Like, what are some techniques you guys use to power through an actual physical
phone off, lo-fi music, and the book?
Me and Jay talk about the lo-fi music.
Sit back, man. I be sitting down like a bad bitch.
Lo-fi music.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to get into it. Oh my gosh.
I sit down like bro. I listen. I turn that on, and it be like,
got the little leaves blowing in there. Don't tell me you got the fluffy furry sandals, bro.
Yes, bro. And I pull out my little mug and I put the book down, and I'll be sitting there warm, blanket warm and everything. I got the heated blanket, bro, and I just try to lock myself in at least 20 to 25. But you got to get into a zone. I think once you get into that comfortable zone and you really lock in with the book, forget all the outside distractions. Bro, we're on our phone all the time. You know what I'm saying?
You know you're in the zone. Like, you talk about the
when somebody talk to you and you like, yo, shut up.
Right. You're like
when somebody tap you and you like, or you hear your wife, try. And I'm like, just here. Listen, leave me alone.
You go to read. Are y'all just reading in the living room?
I'm in the living room, bro. Everybody upstairs. I turn that TV on. I put that lo-fi music on. I'm downstairs and I'm just feet up, bro. Feet up, just chilling, man. That's what I'm about to do with this book right here. Just caught this book today.
I want to get that. I
Medusa.
saw that.
Just
No, we
copped
were
this
talking
book
about it on
today
our
from
chat.
Walmart.
I
It's
heard
not
it was
long. It's
good.
only 318 pages. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start off with the sprints in a little while. Once we finish here, I'm gonna start off with the reading sprints when I get on there, and then we'll take it from there. But I've told myself this year that I really want to lock in with really less screen time on my phone, because I will scroll for hours and I wouldn't, and when I could just be
I
doing
have to set a
reading a
timer on
book.
my
You know what I'm
phone.
saying? So I really have to lock in from that book, not even less just from this book, but I have to start reading the word because of where my life is going. So I have to really lock in with the word of God as well, because I know where I'm moving up to in the spiritual hierarchy. Just
Real talk.
locking in
I
with
think that's really beautiful.
less of this screen time, because it ain't nothing on the internet that I can't scroll to. There's nothing there for me. It's nothing that's gonna help me by the internet. I'm just sitting there watching ice
It's
videos
mindless. You
and
just
just other
scrolling and
stuff. You know what I
scrolling and
mean?
scrolling.
Mindless
Yeah.
scrolling. I feel like I told myself this year I was gonna lock into more of the book, and it's going to start with Medusa. I don't want to just Audible book it out. I want to sit there and start reading in the pages too. You know what I'm saying? So I said I want to do half and half this year. If I read or if I listen, that's why I read on my Kindle. I read Capone, so I would do like half. The 0.5s, I was reading the 0.5s
And then listening
instead,
to the
and
other
I
one.
just kept flipping it out, and I would do 20 pages a day because her book is not long. But then when you get into the shootout scene, you got to keep going. So it's like turning to 40 a night. You know what I mean? So it was easier for me to kind of do it that way. So that's kind of where I'm at with Audible versus physical this year. Audible book one session, and then the next session physical. You know what I'm saying? And even if I can't finish the physical, I'm gonna do the Audible while still doing the physical, and I'm gonna keep catching up. So that's where I'm at with my Audible versus physical take.
I was going to touch base on what your question, Jules, when you asked how, like, tips to finish a book. Everything that Jay said, I definitely think you have to be in an environment that's conducive to reading. You know, I'm someone, I've loved reading since I was a child. Like, I mean, reading has been my peace. It's my safe space. So I love to read so much that I can read anywhere. Noise doesn't bother me, especially when I'm locked into a story. But if people want tips of, okay, how do I finish a book? I'm not a strong reader. I want to get into reading, but I can't seem to. I think Jay hit the nail on the head when he said the reading sprints and creating a goal. You're a new reader, set a goal for yourself. You will finish 20 pages a week. Don't even do it something big. And it's not a race. Okay. So just set an attainable goal, 20 pages a week. If you think that's too much, 10 pages a week, 5 pages a day. And make sure, you know, just like any other goal in your life, this is important to you. You set an attainable goal and you slowly increase it. So that's
Smart
the first
goal.
thing. Smart goal. Something, don't say finish a book a week, you know, when you just got into it, because you're going to fail and then you're going to never want to pick up a book again. So do it like Jay said, do it little by little, get comfortable, pick books that entertain you and that interest you. Do not start off with nonfiction. I've seen so many people try to get into reading by reading somebody's biography. If you're just getting into reading, I'm just saying, I love biographies, but you got to pick something that really, truly interests you.
That's going to be an episode, fiction versus nonfiction.
Yes,
can't wait to that episode.
That's a good one.
I'm going to let y'all two argue it out.
Yes. Quiet environment, conducive to reading. Look at him. He's like, Jules is the nonfiction guy, guys. He's got some really good nonfiction picks coming for us next month. But mirroring everything that Jay said and just setting attainable goals. And then lastly, understanding that reading is not a race. It's not a race. It's not a competition.
Yeah,
the only person whose goals you need to be worried about when it comes to reading is yourself. Do not look on TikTok and see someone read 300 books a year and be like, well, I didn't read that many. You're not them. That's not your goal. You know what I mean?
So I want to know, Keith, you've been reading since you was a youngin'. What's the most pages that you've read in a day?
Ooh, probably like 600. I finished a 600-page book in a day.
What the freak is going on here?
Yep.
600. She was locked up.
I was like, dang.
But I used to have a job.
What Kevin Hart say? He's like, dang.
I used to have a job where I worked.
I'm sorry.
12-hour shifts, like 12-hour shifts. And it was during a very, very slow period. So that's all I would do. I would bring my book. I would sit at that desk and I would just read. I mean, one year I finished 330 books in 1 year. It was because I had a job where it was like night shift, you know, there's nobody there. You just sit there and you just read the whole time. And like I said, I first fell in love with reading when I went to the library. And, you know, they tell you that the library is that safe place. I think I told you guys, and I've talked about this on my TikTok even, my mom was an abuse of domestic violence, and hearing that there was a place, that this is a safe place you can always run to. So that was very, very powerful for me as a child. And to get lost in these words in this book.
Dope, man. I love that for
when
you.
I'm dealing with this stuff at home, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter because look at me, I'm living with the Baudelaire orphans in the series of Unfortunate Events, or you know what I mean? I'm doing this. I'm living all these different worlds. So what's going on in the background, it doesn't affect me. It was my safe space. It was my coping thing. So I've always just loved to read. And so just even talking about books makes me so happy. And that's why I love audiobooks, but I physically love the act of reading, you know, like opening the book, smelling the pages, like closing the book when I'm done, all of that. It's just like, it just fills me up.
The highlight of it is when you out and you hear somebody talking about a book, or even when you in the bookstore and somebody like, yeah, you read that book, and then y'all boom, y'all instant connect. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, like I read that book. Like when they see me, they gonna know, man, I read that book like that. Gonna go on your chest, like when they scratch over, like when the killers in movies where they do the Roman numerals and they scratch it off. It's like you get that honorary patch, like, yo, I'm part of the Freedom McFadden Club. I read the whole, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it is a badge of honor when you finish an Audible or physical book, and you get a chance to speak to somebody that knows that talks about the book. Because think about if if whoever's going to see The Housemaid right now, they probably, them or their spouse probably read the book. So when you're sitting there and people who read the book know what it is, or you might hear somebody say, that's not how Enzo did it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, you read the book? Word? And I read the book too, bro.
And then
you know what I'm saying?
Like, and you're part of that community that can say the book is better. I grew up hearing that all the time. The book is better.
The book is, you be like, the book is better, you know, or when they show like, or if you in there and you like, people are like, oh my God, Douglas Garrick is such a bad guy. And you're like, will the real Douglas Garrick please stand up? And only the people who read the book would know what you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's one of the things. It's just like, it's just a fulfillment when you actually finish a book. You know what I'm saying?
And you can discuss it with someone, which you can do, like I said, whether you've read it or whether you've read it or whether you've listened to it. And really, that's what I love the most about the bookish community overall. Is just, we love to read. Let's talk about the books. And I couldn't stand that character. This writing was really good. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing that I think is a really big difference between audio versus listening. I talked about this on our live that me and Jay, I think Jules, maybe you were in it when we were on TikTok. There's a book, it's called Maggie Gray, The Secret World of Maggie Gray. It's a magical HBCU book. So like Blood at the Root, except the kids in this book or the people in this book are a lot older. Like, anyway. So one of the things that made it just a tad bit difficult for me to get through the book was the grammar errors. I know Jay's going to be like, here she go. That's just my thing, y'all. I'm just picky about it. But it was one of the things that I was like, I'm kind of struggling to get through it because it's a bunch of grammar errors. And someone was like, listen to it. The people who listen to it, they don't see any of that. They don't see any of that. All they get is a story. And I think that is such a benefit of listening to the audiobook, like Jules touched on before. Yes. Like, you are just judging the book based on the story. You know what I mean? Because you're just listening to it. You don't see any of these grammars or missing commas. You just get to sit back and just listen to the story and the characters' voices. You know what I mean? It's different when you're reading and you're just seeing there's a missing comma or a question mark or something like that. So I think that's another really big difference. People have even told me, listen to the book, don't read it, listen to it, because you listen to it, you know. And I've started like trying to go back and do that and notice even myself, maybe I didn't like it as much when I read it, but when I listened to it, I was like, oh,
it sounded a lot better. Yeah,
but I will say this about physical books. I feel like my retention goes up when I read a physical book. I'm highlighting, I'm dog-earing the corners. I'm writing notes in the margin. I'm arguing with the author right there. So I feel like I just remember more when my hands are involved, right? When I'm
I have to take more notes when I do the audio book.
I did that with this book.
Jay taught me that,
add these damn what's the names.
Oh, you got the little post-it, the little sticky.
Yeah, man. Like yellow was for scenes that I was like, yo, this is crazy. And the blue was for characters, any new characters that was introduced as I was going through the genre.
That sounds like an episode.
In this book right here,
that sounds like an episode, like coding your
It's Jay taught me this.
He
takes notes when he does his audiobooks. So like I said, Jay is like my teacher in so many things. Like he was just telling me how he does his audiobooks. I was just like, I felt like I had to do this when I listened to an audiobook just sit there because I feel like I can't do nothing
I'm
else.
like this.
And
Taking
yeah,
notes. I'm taking. I
and
got my
he's
notes out of my phone, and I got bullets. I'm taking. I'm doing
literally,
quote.
I had to start doing that too. To be
yeah.
be an active listener, I want to get the story. And sometimes you got to take a note, like wait, and then sometimes you got to like rewind. Wait, I missed something. I looked at my phone for 10 seconds, and now he's killing her, and I'm like, what the
That
hell?
part.
You know,
Exactly.
rewind. Yes, but it's still so like listening to an audiobook feels like watching a movie without the movie.
Exactly. Yep.
I would say something else. I want to talk on this, and I just remembered Jules said something about how sometimes an audiobook can ruin the book. When I don't know if you guys heard of the story. It's called Rhythms Blues. It's by author Kimberly Brown. It's like, I love the book because if y'all watched Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, it's messy like that. Producers sleeping with their clients, girl. It's an amazing book. But I listened to it, and the FMC's voice was very, very snobby. And I felt like because of that, her character I didn't like as much because of the narrator. You know, she was kind of like the victim in the book. She was the one, she was being done wrong. She was being cheated on. But because of her voice, I just felt like I didn't like her, you know? And it was just kind of like, I wish I would have read it because I would have been more sympathetic towards her. But it was just, her voice was just, the way she said nigga, it was just so like Valley Girl. And
That's how I feel about Elias' voice in Capadonna. Like,
really?
I feel like,
see, I haven't listened to it. I'm gonna have to listen to it one of these days.
I feel like her voice don't fit. It's like, why does she have like a little accent? Like, she's from the hood. Her brother's hood. Everybody rap. Here she is just Muslim. She got this accent.
But
like,
you see, if their voice doesn't fit what you think, yes, if the voice doesn't match what you think it should be, then it can mess it up a little bit. So that's why, like Jules said, I think there's pros and cons to both. But I'm glad that we all agree it doesn't matter. Like, it still counts as reading. It all falls under that umbrella as reading, and that's really
So as we wrap up this episode, I'm gonna go to each one of y'all. What do you prefer, Jules? Do you prefer both or one or the other?
I feel that audiobooks are undefeated for productivity. If I'm trying to be productive, it's audiobooks for me. Physical books are undefeated for presence, though. If I'm just trying to just really connect with the book, if I'm really trying to draw something out of there, I have the time in my schedule, then it's physical books. The real question is knowing when you need which one.
Yeah. And I haven't figured that out yet.
Me neither. I haven't figured it out yet.
I haven't figured out a way to tell.
Because it depends on what we're doing. Now that we have a whole podcast, is do you want to, for the sake of our audience, we got to be very knowledgeable on the text that we read when we bringing up these discussions on the book. So it's like when Rebecca Yarros, whatever the next book is, right? Do you want to listen to it? Because that's a book where you kind of got to really lock in with these chapters. You can, but you got to lock in with these chapters because so many things happen. So how would you consume, you know what I'm saying? How would you consume that type of book? Would you rather audio it? You know, but it really just depends on what you're doing at the time. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I feel like I can get through, for the sake of a podcast, in order for me to keep up you two, it has to be audiobook.
I'm trying to keep up with y'all. Like y'all already on Capri. I'm like, damn, I just finished Capadonna.
Because the Audible, soon as the Audible finishes, it's like, oh, buy that one, download it, we listening to it.
See, I read all these other books, and me and Jules talk about this. I cannot read the series back to back. I can't. I have to have a little bit of time in between. I got to read a couple books and then I come back because then I miss the characters and I'm like, yes, let me come back to this. If I read it back to back, I'm gonna get frustrated, annoyed, and I'm not gonna want to finish the series.
And when I found that out about you, Key, that was so liberating because it was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm cheating on Jaquel. I could go.
I can't. But that's in series. Right? I can't. No matter how much
it's like comfort food, right? Yes. It's like, okay, I have to do this for the podcast and for the community, and you know, I already have this commitment on TikTok where I'm reviewing certain things. However, there's still some other stuff over here that's comfort food for me that I want to read, right? And so my genre acts as like comfort food. I need to pick up a business book, or I need to pick up a, you know, I just want to dive into that world and be a better entrepreneur or be a better leader, like even in my home. But I love the urban. I'm growing an affection for urban fiction.
Same.
I'll say that.
Same.
I'll say that. At first, I thought it was just like, man, I heard a stat too about urban fiction. It gets
a bad rap. It really does.
There's no intellectual growth. I'm killing the stat, but it's something pertaining to the essence of like, there's no like. What was the quote? It was like, there's no intellectual growth when you read urban fiction. Like your reading level doesn't go up or anything like that. That's a stat out there. I have to research and actually give it to you. Don't take my word for it. Go out there and Google it.
People too, they'll get like reading is subjective. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it definitely provides education, which like Jules said, a business book, a biography, you're learning something. But there are people who they read simply for enjoyment. They don't read because they're like, hey,
okay.
I want, and that's okay. That's another thing. I feel like there's so many like, what is it? Cocky people, just, I don't even know what the word is because I'm so angry about it, but just people who puffed up that they just think they're better because of the type of books they read. Like even romance gets a very bad name. It's just like, you read romance. Like what the fuck is wrong with romance? I'm reading for fun. What is the problem with that?
Yeah.
You know, and again, that goes back to readers
stuff.
being overly concerned with what other readers are doing. If a woman only read romance, why is that any of my business? If I've read one of the romance books that she read, then we can fucking talk about it. But I'm not gonna look at her and be like, she's ABC and judge her because she likes to read romance. That's what she likes. She could be a high-powered attorney who just likes to read romance in her free time because in her personal life, there is none. And she just wants to sit back and relax and read a really good, juicy romance. Why is that a problem? If someone only wanted to read mystery, like, you know what I mean? But people be getting like upset at other people for their choices when it comes to reading. It's just like what you read has no bearing on my life because I'm gonna read what the fuck I want to read. You know what I mean? So that's all I can say.
I will say though, to close it out, I will say though, the books on the shelf look amazing though. You know, books on the shelf, spray tan edges look amazing. And it does, I agree. I ain't gonna lie to you, that make you do look like you know what you're talking about. People, you gotta look like a librarian, people like, oh my God, can I borrow a book? And you like, let me go through this section.
I had to quickly drop my smile.
You pull that joint out like a librarian.
That's something, Jay, I don't let people borrow my books.
I'm just saying, like, you know, it looks cool. Okay. People come over and they like, oh my God, you're sexual.
And I also want to say this too.
With your feet, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
if y'all see any books on this shelf by canceled authors, please forgive me because these books have been sitting up here
she
for
is
probably
a Sarah J.
over...
Maas reader. She has the whole collection.
I'm just saying, these books, I put this shelf together when I moved in here 2 years ago. I have not rearranged or touched any of these books. And I buy so many books.
We won't judge you.
I'm just saying, someone had inboxed me about a book that I had on my shelf, and I'm thinking, girl, you telling me I didn't even know it was up there. I just think it looks cute in the background. I don't know half the books on this shelf, you know.
Zooming in.
Really, and I was like, you care that much? Like I put it here because it looks cute. I don't know what books is on the shelf. I be just buying them, put them on the shelf. So I just wanted to get that little snippet out. Yes, the
you
shelf
ain't
is
gotta
cute,
explain that to nobody.
I do.
Man,
I told you, Jay, they gonna call me a coon again.
Oh, don't worry about that. That episode will be dropping Monday. Yep. But I mean, we just tackled everything that we feel like the Audible versus physical discussion. If you following us on any of our social media platforms, if you're listening to this, comment down below whether you on Spotify, YouTube, Book Talk, Bookstagram, however you want to call it. Like, please let us know what you prefer, whether you prefer the physical book or you prefer the Audible book. Anything you got to say before we get out of here, y'all?
Just thank you to my amazing, wonderful co-hosts for such an engaging and honest discussion. I always have so much fun. I learned so much from you guys, and we are a phenomenal team.
Anything for the people, Jules?
Man, keep reading.
Yes.
Keep reading.
Yes.
Looking forward to February, Black History Month. We're going to get into some good stuff for that month. But, man, just keep reading.
Yep.
This is the world's...
Or listening.
World's most dangerous book podcast show in the world, y'all. Till next week, we are out.
Peace.